Hey, good evening and welcome to the Power of Now, Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
And tonight we want to talk a little bit about incorporating some, again, from last week, a healthy juice recipe into your health and wellness regimen. And Coach Darren, you'll be talking about?
Well, again, showing you another option, low cost, inexpensive option to start gardens, to start growing your own produce.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that we try to do is we're really trying to encourage people to to take control of their health and wellness, and also to begin to take control of their food. And some of the things that people normally, you know, uh, reason why they don't do it because they always think, oh, it's too hard or it's too difficult, or the other one, it's too expensive. So what we're here trying to do is showing you ways that you can do it, like I say, low cost, easy to implement. You just need to have the right mindset.
Yep. And with foods that are already in your kitchen or in your pantry. So what I'm going to show you is the ingredients to a really great energy juice that you can actually make in the mornings. I mean, I have it before my morning coffee, but you can have it at any time of the day. And
Yes.
it's just it's a very refreshing drink.
Yeah, let me just say something, Coach Mitchell.
Mhm.
You know, you said that you have it in the morning before your coffee. And I just want to share with you what you consume first thing in the morning is important.
Mhm.
And as Coach Mitchell and I were just having a conversation the other day, is that you know what, when you go to sleep at night, when you're sleeping, your body's really going through a restoration process. And it's actually also detoxing, which is why normally when you wake up in the morning, you have to use the bathroom
Mhm.
because your body's flushing out, some of the toxins and the waste. So at that point, your cells are open and ready to be replenished. So the first thing that you consume in the morning is really important. So, you know what? That's why you normally say you want to wake up and you want to, drink water.
Mhm.
Some people may drink lemon water, lemon and turmeric water, but you want something that's going to have some nutritional uh, power to it, so that your cells can be replenished.
Mhm.
What that something is, you know, it could vary. There's a bunch of options. So just kind of keep that in mind
Mhm.
before that first cup of coffee, because there's not really a whole lot of nutritional value there, but you want something that has some vitamins, some minerals. So, first thing, like I said, probably should be water.
Mhm.
Then after that, as Coach Mitchell said, she does her, juice. Mhm. Then she has her coffee. So she's giving her cells a chance to replenish, and that will help kickstart your day. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So it's usually juice, bitters, and then coffee in that order. And it's really beneficial for, like I said, your energy level. It kickstarts your metabolism and it rejuvenates you, actually. But this recipe that I'm going to give you is really good for your melanin. It's also a great antioxidant as well as an anti-inflammatory. So what you'll use is a half a cantaloupe. Melon is really good for you. Half a cantaloupe is really good for your skin. One whole cucumber, and I think you can see this, two whole oranges. Now you can use the peels to juice, or you can peel the orange and use the peel to make your orange tea, or dehydrate your orange peels to make a powder. Coach Darren can talk a little bit more about that. But anyway, you put all of these through the juicer. You can add, you can substitute, you can add a little lemon, half of a lemon or half of a lime to give it a little boost. You can even add a half of a jalapeno pepper, which will also help with the immune system and antioxidants, as well as an anti-inflammatory. So you can really just run the gamut on whatever ingredient you want to add to your juice because it's up to you. Whatever you like, whatever you prefer, it's your preference. So, yes, Coach.
So again, you have something, again, just 3 ingredients. And the other thing too, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of people always want the exact recipe. I need the recipe. No, you don't really need the recipe.
Right.
You
A
use it.
base.
Yes, it's a base. People tell you what's in it, and that's not something that's written in stone. It's not like you're taking a prescription med.
Mm-hmm.
You can build from there. Use your creativity. Use what you have. Use what you like. But you're staying really within the boundary of healthy
Healthy, exactly.
choices.
Because my palate runs the gamut. And my mind is really creative when it comes to ingredients and what I think pair well with another ingredient. So, this morning it was, hey, let me do a cucumber, melon, orange juice. And it was absolutely delicious, absolutely delicious. And I think I will add a little bit of lemon juice to it the next time I juice with it. Also, what you see here. Oh, I just want to make a note that that $25 juicer that we bought, we haven't stopped using it since we purchased it. So again, a very, very inexpensive, yet the return on investment is going to really multiply,
Yes.
what we actually spent on that juicer.
And takeaway from you guys, we mentioned last week, is you don't have to go out and buy high-end equipment to get the job done.
Mhm.
You can grow into it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know I bought like high-tech gadgets. Like, for instance, when you look at your phone, you ask yourself, how many options do you actually use on your phone?
Mhm.
And as you get older, what the phones that they sell to older people have less.
Less.
But you look at yourself, do I need, because everybody's talking about, these high-end juices, do I need that? If you do, then by all means get it. If you can afford it, by all means get one. But if you cannot, or you don't need it, don't let that stop you
Mhm.
from moving forward.
Right.
So as Coach Mitchell said, we found actually two
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
juices. One was a smaller
Like a
one.
single serve.
Yeah, like single serve, and the other one was an actual big juicer.
Mhm.
And the bigger juicer was actually, we got it less expensive than the smaller one.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think, great points, and hopefully you take those and you make use and take advantage of the tips that we're giving you in that regard. Um, the other thing that I have here, unless you have something else to add regarding the juice.
No, I thought you were heading over there to it. It was beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful green.
beautiful. Let me tell you. Now, this is an apple mint stem. And as you can see, those leaves, those mint leaves are really healthy. They're wide, they're beautiful, especially if you really like mint. Use it in your desserts. You can make tea. I mean, mint is just so multifaceted, and you can use it for multiple purposes in a various wide range of ingredients and recipes. I mean, in recipes as one of your main ingredients. Now, this apple mint, I harvested from our mint garden from last year. This came back from last year, and after a couple of rains, the last week of March and the first couple of days of this month, it has grown so prolifically that we had to harvest it. Now, what we'll use this for are various dishes. We're going to dehydrate some and use it as a dry herb.
Mhm.
We will we'll put some in the freezer and use it, incorporate it in some ingredients and some recipes that we may make in the future. But we'll also use some of that dried mint leaf to infuse our green tea. So, I mean, you can use this for, like I said, for various dishes. But again, this is something that we harvested. And if you happened upon our page yesterday, I posted the mint leaves as well as the dish that I made from the turnip greens, the cabbage, and the Brussels sprout leaves that I harvested from the garden from last year that sort of, made it through the winter. So those were like winter greens, with the exception of the cabbage. I got that from the farmer's market. But everything was grown organically and are harvested fresh from the farm.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and I'm glad that you pointed out that the mint leaves are actually from last year. They're from our last year planting,
yes,
but they're new growth this year. So it really, it lines up with why we try and encourage you to grow your own produce as much as you can, whatever you can, because what you just shared, Coach Mitchell, that is the power of nature. As nice as these leaves are,
yes,
we didn't do
we
anything.
did nothing.
Nature took care of that. And again, the pots were sat out all winter. The leaves, the plant kind of,
Died back a little
yeah.
bit.
And then as you said, Coach Mitchell, the sun hit it, the temperature started to rise a little, the rain hit it, and these plants just took off. And for those who you're familiar with growing mint, to make it even grow more, you have to prune it.
You have to prune it, absolutely.
So what we see here is, here's the beautiful part. You got 3 canisters there. You had a bag full. We've already started dehydrating some. And what I always do when you prune something, you bring it in the house, I always take a snip to try to start the process all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just 2 stems that, I just stuck in water. They'll stay in water.
Beautiful.
Yes, and hopefully they'll start to root, and then they'll go in another pot. So, we'll just have an additional pot of mint. And right now we're up to maybe 10 different types of mint.
10 different varieties of mint, which we will, showcase on a future session. But I also want to just caveat, do not plant mint in the ground. If you can't contain it or confine it to a specific area, it's very aggressive and it will take over your garden. So you always want to plant mint in a container, a nice big container, especially if you like the different varieties. And, I do make a drizzle or a simple syrup out of some of the mint that we harvest, but you don't want to plant mint in your garden in the ground because it is very aggressive. It's a vine, it runs, so it will take over. So plant it in a container. It's a beautiful plant. It will last all season as long as you cut it back, prune it. You'll have mint for really forever.
Which is why I always say, by getting in touch with your food source and growing and learning so much, to really point out just the beauty of nature. Because again, the more you take off that plant, the more that plant will produce.
Like trimming your hair.
Yes. So it's just a gift that was just meant to give. If you take care of it, it will continue to give.
Absolutely.
Now, and again, there's so many different ways that you can utilize it. So that's, like I said, the mint, and now I guess we can transition over
to outdoors.
Yes, outdoors.
Starting indoors to transition outdoors. So I'm going to move my juice ingredients out of your way.
All right. Watch. Okay. Now, again, we are trying to encourage more and more people to really just start growing your own food. As we mentioned last week, we sent out some starter kits, to basically starting with our grandchildren. And then we have, we'll send out a couple more before the end of the week, to some other children, all to try to get children encouraged to start growing, their own food, or their own produce, I should say, which really should be your food, because most of your food should come from, from the ground. Okay, so with that, we're trying to remove the barriers so that people can find easy ways to at least get started. Because I think once you get started and you feel that thrill of growing something, it will inspire you to keep going. You know? So what we have here is a very inexpensive, cheap, lazy way of getting your garden started. Now, if you saw tonight's description, it was mentioned about repurposing the red cups.
Mhm.
Now, most people might be familiar with the red cups. Well, the red cups are those plastic red cups that people buy and they use them for their events. And the kind of running joke is that that's what you got your drink in. All right, you get your red cup party. It means you're going to have something to drink
Mhm.
in your red cup. Now, fortunately, we don't have any red cups. So we're going to replace them with these lavender cups, which came from I don't know how long ago, but
Same material.
same material, same exact cup, just different color.
And if you color coordinate everything, you can buy them to coordinate with your garden.
Yes. So again, when you're growing something, you can pretty much grow in anything. But people use these cups to grow their plants. Like, they use these cups to grow tomatoes. And it's really simple. Now, you have a couple of ways of getting started, all right? You can do single or you can do what's a double cup. And I'll explain that in a second. The first thing you need a container, all right, to grow something in. You need soil. And I always make the distinction, you need soil, not dirt. Is it, a difference. Soil is a living organism. Dirt is the void of the nutrients and the minerals that are needed to grow something. So you want to make sure you get soil. Now you can convert dirt into soil, but I've said just buy a cheap bag of soil to get started. Or the other thing that we use is the coconut coir.
Mhm.
So there are several ways, but right here it's just an inexpensive soil. I have learned how to what they call amend the soil. So this soil is actually from plants from last year. The soil that's being reused. And
Mhm.
again, I take it through a process that I've learned to do to bring it back to life because it's been sitting for months with nothing in it. So you got your soil, you got a container. Now, first thing you can do is you can put soil in your cup. That's number two, Uh, and I got all the indoor tools here as opposed to outdoor, but we're gonna try to make this
You need
work.
me to hold that?
Yeah, let's just take that for a
I'll
second.
hold that.
I'll see if I can scoop something out of here. All right. So, you just want to put some soil in your cup, and you don't want to fill the cup all the way up. All right. And
So what, about halfway, three
yeah,
quarters?
halfway, three quarters.
Okay.
Right? Now, I'll just
Just move that around a little
okay,
bit.
yes.
Clean it
But
off.
I also want to say, I just made a slight mistake, but I will tell you what I forgot to do. Huh?
What'd you forget to do?
Okay. All right. If you're doing with this cup, you'll pretty much know when you get any pot from the store. Most pots, most, but not all, if you turn it upside down, it will either already have the holes in it or will have indentations for you to put holes in it, which you can do with either a drill
Mhm.
or a hammer and nail. If you're using these cups, just use a nail out and a hammer and punch, for this you can probably punch one hole right in the middle and you'll probably be okay.
You don't really need a hammer with this
No, you probably
cup
could just,
because it's so thin, right?
yes,
Well, you have another cup. Let's see.
yeah. So which you could do is, and when you're doing this, I should say, you can try to do it this way,
Mhm.
or just do, see?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. A little stronger and sturdier than I anticipated.
So you got your hole in
Okay.
there, and because the cup is so small, you probably can get by maybe one hole. If maybe you could put two.
And that's for drainage.
And it's right. And that's why you always want to make sure your container has the ability to let the excess water flow out.
Wonderful.
So here's your cup, all right? Here's your soil, so just to keep things in check, we're gonna put the soil
Okay.
in a cup hole, all right?
We'll use that for another planting.
Yes. Or we'll actually use this for the reservoir.
Oh, okay.
Reserve,
Oh, okay.
All right, so we kind of reverse things there. All right, so here you got your cup, your container, you got some soil. The next thing you need is a seed. Now, I'm going to actually do something here, which is a little bit, I would say, out of character.
Oh, wow. Look at that tomato growing in there.
All right. So I don't know if you can see this.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But there is a tomato starting to grow in here. Now, what are these? These are seeds from a tomato that started to actually go bad. So what I did is I cut the tomato in half and I took the seeds out of both parts, but I saved the part that was good, and then I just threw the part that was bad in here. And I put it here purposely because I wanted to kind of just show, you can like take all the seeds and separate them and, create or plant them differently or separately, or you can do again the lazy man's way of gardening is you just take the whole tomato and just stick it in your container or a part of it. So I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to just pour. You know what?
Okay. You're going to pour that along with all of the juices of the tomato into your soil, into your cup. Oh, you have like 100 tomato seeds in there.
Yeah.
And then you pour, go ahead.
Yeah. Then you cover it. So put some more soil.
Instruments back in a little prematurely, huh? Okay.
So you take this.
So you're covering the seeds, and how much soil over the seeds?
You just want the seeds to be,
about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the depth of your seed, it really depends on the seed itself. The smaller the seed, the less depth you want to plant.
Okay.
So it wants to be closer to the top. If they're, bigger seeds or they're harder on the outside, you can put them in a little deeper. All right. But we're again, all right, so now we have the seeds covered. We did typically then just take some water to sprinkle across the top.
Put it in your reservoir. I grab some water so that doesn't go to waste.
Right. So this is again one way of doing it is where they would use what they call a double cup method, where you put one cup inside the other. Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
And you might just put something underneath this cup so it sits a little higher within this cup. This also allows the water, any excess water, to flow out of this.
So a little stone or pebble.
Yes, just so it sits up a little. Now that's one way. The other way is if you're doing multiple, plants, what you could do, get a bunch of purple cups, red cups, whatever, soil, and you can plant multiple, seeds. Now, I dumped all the seeds in one. You may want to separate them. Again, I did that because it was there. So you do that, and you can then take these cups with the hole in it and put them in an aluminum pan. Those you can get them from the dollar store for $1, and you probably get about 6 or 8 of these cups into one pan. So right there, you could start 8 tomato plants or 8 cucumber plants.
Or 8 cups of plants, because
yes,
that's going to be about 50
yes.
tomato plants.
All right. Now, what will happen when these start to sprout is I will thin them out, and I will take the stronger ones out and repot them into bigger pots.
Okay.
Which may be just a little bit bigger here, but it's going to give them their own space. So first things first is you want to get them to just to sprout. So take this, and again, you can use double cup, or you can put them in an aluminum pan. Put them in an aluminum pan. What you want to do is then you take a piece of saran wrap, or if you don't have saran wrap, you probably even take a plastic bag.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you put the saran wrap over your aluminum foil across the top of the cups, and you kind of seal. What does that do?
It's the
Greenhouse effect.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
Again, aluminum pan, plastic cups, some soil, some seeds from something that you've already consumed.
Less than $5.
Yes, like I said, probably even less than that if you really break it down. Now, once you do that, you want to stick your aluminum pan someplace that's preferably warm, because again, you want the warmth to help the seeds to germinate. One of the classic places, that people use, they'll take that aluminum pan and sit it on top of the refrigerator. And that's, because that tends to be warm, and that will, it doesn't have to be hot. You don't want it hot. Just want it, relatively warm.
Don't forget you put it there.
Yes. And depending on what you plant, anywhere from a week to 3 weeks, you should start to see, some growth. Now, here's the thing, that I really stress. A year ago, we talked about this when we did our, segment on food scarcity and food deserts. And, I had the opportunity to submit a proposal to the administration on that same issue. And here's really the answer. Because I just dumped, we didn't count, all right? But this was a tomato that's gone bad. I just dumped, we'll say, half the seeds into this cup. And if all of these plants were to grow, each one could possibly produce 50, 100 tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right in this cup, that's one seed. And you multiply that times 50 seeds. So I'm not going to accept the fact that we cannot feed folks. Now, it will require people changing their relationship with food.
Yeah.
But it's doable. So even as individuals, as homes, it's, again, we stress that it's a good way to a good project to do with your children. Doesn't cost much.
This is a regular tomato, like a Tom tomato.
Actually, I don't know
So one plant will produce about 6, maybe 10 tomatoes.
Yeah, actually, all of this came off the vine, but I don't know the variety.
Right.
So I'm not really sure how many this particular variety will produce, but it's going to be multiple, and we know, like I said, we saw how many seeds were in this cup.
Yeah.
So if you want to really narrow it down or improve your odds, you go through the process of separating the seeds before you plant them.
Exactly. And year before last, we had a couple of garden beds in a community garden, and I had 6 tomato plants. And I think that year yielded enough tomatoes to actually consume during the summer and fall, but also I was able to preserve some, as well as cut some up, freeze them, made sauce. So it was enough to carry forward for 2 years, just 6 tomato plants. So imagine what you can do with a tomato, and even half of the tomato seeds themselves is about 50 seeds in this cup.
Yes.
So if you're really meticulous and you're taking care of it and you thin them out, as you say, each one of those that you take out, you plant in a separate pot independently, and you're going to be able to feed your family. If you have a family of 4, that one plant will feed your family of 4 at least for 2 months. Supply, I would say, not feed, but supply the family with tomatoes for various dishes for a couple of months.
Again, we're talking about tomatoes, but it could be anything. You know what? And tomatoes are, well, let me also say this, what we're showing are things to help get you started. It does become, more scientific and more creative as you grow into this. So, to really maximize your harvest, it does take a skill that, I'm still learning, still developing, but I've been able to learn enough to share with others.
Mhm.
And then as I grow, I will again continue to share with others. Most importantly is just getting people started, you
Mhm.
know. So if you're listening, you know, here, don't keep procrastinating. You know what? There's no reason why you can't get a red cup, a lavender cup, black cup, purple, whatever it may be, some soil and start experimenting.
Right. And don't be overwhelmed because really, it's really very simple
Mhm.
to get started. It's really very simple. It's efficient. It's easy. It's very simple to get started. Don't think about growing a huge garden or, oh God, now I have to expand to a farm. You don't have to do that because if you are just a plant lover, you know that your plant they begin to grow because you begin to acquire more and more
Yes.
because you sort of develop an understanding of what you can grow, what you can nourish, and what you can keep alive. And I'm talking just plant. And your inventory continues to grow because you build upon it. The same is going to happen when you garden. When you
Yes.
start planting that one vegetable or fruit plant and you see it grow and it starts to thrive and you're able to care for it and then harvest from it, you just continue to add to it. So don't worry about getting started. Just start.
Yes. Yep. And you raise again a really good point because what will happen is your mind will go, oh, if I do that, then maybe I could do this.
Hmm.
Then maybe I can do that. And with access to the internet and all of the groups and people out there helping one another, you know, now doing what we do, there are other places, like I said, there are other groups, other people doing the same thing. So you can get answers to your questions. There really is no excuse for you not giving, you know, a try.
Hmm.
Once you get started, again, going back to the mint, certain things will just take care of themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, last thing, I don't know if they could see.
Oh, you have to bring it back. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
All right. Again, don't know if you can see. This is just
That
a
would be.
sample.
Just hold it there.
Okay. This is just a sample, again, of what well, we have several things here, but they're all basically things that we just dehydrated.
Hmm.
Again, we try to practice a zero waste strategy.
Hmm.
So in here are some of the, you know, parts of, let's say, the fruit or vegetable that we used to toss.
Absolutely.
So now that, like I said, we dehydrate.
I just go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah.
coach.
You know what? Uh, blend it, then run it through a little coffee grinder type device. Mhm.
Lemon salt powder. You have your onion powder, your garlic powder. Well, we have lemon salt powder, and we used it for asparagus. Sometimes you squeeze a little lemon juice over your asparagus after you roast
Mhm.
it. Well, I seasoned the asparagus with the lemon salt powder, and
Mhm.
boy, oh boy, listen, if you are procrastinating or you're really not certain, we really suggest you try at least one of these techniques.
Yes.
But the dehydration of the vegetable and the fruit peels and then grinding it into a powder or just the spice blend, hands down, you won't get anything out of the supermarket that comes close to the taste.
That's absolutely correct because you're getting it direct. Like I said, you know how long it's been sitting on your shelf. It hasn't been packaged and sitting on someone else's shelf. There are no preservatives. Mhm. Uh, you know what? Do we need to improve the technique in certain areas? Well, probably across the board, yes. But we're now getting the feel of doing this. And again, why we're sharing with you, you can do the same thing. You look in your cabinet and you look at all of the spices, and you begin to ask, do I need to buy all of those spices if I start growing and utilizing every part of what I grow? Why can't I, do the same thing?
And again, if you have an air fryer, it 9 times out of 10 has a dehydration
Yes,
option on the appliance. Even if you buy herbs out of the supermarket, a lot of times we don't use all of those herbs in time before they spoil. Throw them in the dehydrator before they spoil. Throw them in the grinder or the blender. You can even put it in the blender, put it in a little jar, and you have your seasoning, your herbs.
Yes.
So, think about things in those terms.
Yes. Because you're reducing your food waste, which therefore allows you to save money, and you're not really duplicating. Because if you're buying all your spices and then you're buying all of your vegetables or fruits and you're throwing certain things away, well, you kind of figure if you didn't throw it away and you maximize it, you could create all of your own, or most of your own, without preservatives.
Exactly.
And if you're gardening, some of these things, if they did, like for instance, some of the things that we don't use, we do. We put it in the compost. So again, maximizing the use. And even if you take, for instance, like this orange spice, or like we have orange and cinnamon, these things also can be used in the garden around your plants to protect it from certain insects. So again, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of chemicals.
Right, all organic.
Yes. So again, it's just a lifestyle. You develop your routine, your rhythm, your system, and you can do it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Coach. This has been very informative. I really am excited to see the tomatoes grow. So we'll be tracking that.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be bringing that to you in a couple of weeks to show you the results.
Yes, the progress. Hopefully something will germinate by next week. So at least one may pop up.
Well, whenever it pops up, be sure we will bring it to you.
Yes, we'll post it on the page.
Yes, definitely. All right, Coach, any last minute tips?
No, just start.
Just start. Listen, thank you for joining us tonight for Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday. We really hope that, some of these tips and techniques and recipes that we've brought to you will help you along your health and wellness journey. As always, if you have any questions, please post them to the page. Feel free to reach out to us in Messenger. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
And remember, if you don't start now, there can be no next. Until next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m., join us for the Power of Now, where hopefully we'll bring you another great, informative, and empowering session on something about life that will help motivate and encourage you to grow in your life's journey. Again, have an amazing evening. Good night.